This episode of the D-Lew podcast is brought to you by Happy Wrap. You ever wanted to design your very own gift wrapping paper? Now is your chance to do so. Whether it's for the holiday season, weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, no matter what the occasion calls for, you can use Happy Wrap to wrap your gifts. As a matter of fact, you can even design notebooks, greeting cards, gift tags, and so much more. You can sign up today at happy.thedlewpodcast.com and use the promo code DLEW to get your 10% discount at checkout. Again, that's happy.thedlewpodcast.com and use promo code DLEW to get your 10% discount at checkout. By Simpler Hair Color. Hey guys, are you tired of using that drugstore hair dye brand that isn't getting the job done? If you want to use a great product to cover those grays, have no fear, Simpler Hair Color is here. No mixing, no dripping, no mess. It's super easy to use, whether you're a beginner or a pro. Go to simpler.thedlewpodcast.com and use promo code DLEW10 for your 10% discount at checkout. Again, that's simpler.thedlewpodcast.com and use my promo code DLEW10 for your 10% discount at checkout. And by WWE Shop with Fanatics. Get your favorite WWE Superstars merchandise and wear them proud with superstars like the OTC Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley, the Second City Saint CM Punk, John Cena, Main Event Jey Uso, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, and so many more. Oh, by the way, they got some really cool championship belts in there as well. So go to wrestling.thedlewpodcast.com. Again, that's wrestling.thedlewpodcast.com so you can go to WWE Shop with Fanatics. This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on this week, again, there's going to be someone else sitting in the co-host seat. Gabi's off this week, but you can hear her on those Wrestling Girls podcasts. They've been seen in multiple media scrums after WWE PLEs. She's the one and only Krista B. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show today. I was very excited when I got the notification that you thought of me. So I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be to be your co-host for tonight.
Absolutely, and like I said, I appreciate you coming on. You, and of course, the Queen herself, PR. You guys have been making rounds, and those Wrestling
Thank
Girls
you.
are known worldwide. So, like I said, it's an honor and a privilege to have you on. But
Thank you.
tell my listeners, a little bit about you.
Okay, well, I'm one half of those wrestling girls. I've been a lifelong wrestling fan. Um, Survivor Series is my favorite PLE because I was introduced to wrestling Survivor Series 1996 when The Rock debuted, and I've been in love with The Rock ever since. Yeah, Queen PR and I started those wrestling girls in 2018. 6 years now. We celebrate 6 years earlier this month. Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's not easy, but we push through, we persevere. We have a great community like you guys to just like keep pushing us as we keep pushing you guys.
Hmm.
Um and yeah, we love wrestling. We've covered, like you said, media scrums. We were a part of the very first ever media scrum, Survivor Series War Games 2022. And in that moment, we were the only two Black females in there, and five out of five females in total. We were the only
Wow.
two. First and only two Black females in there. And then from there it started to, become more diverse. And I would like to attribute that to how everybody was just backing and supporting us then when they saw us in that media scrum. Um, and yeah, covered a lot of WWE, covered a lot of AEW, a lot of indies. It's a fun time. It's fun being a wrestling fan.
I have something to tell you.
What's up?
That Survivor Series that you were talking about, 1996,
Hmm.
I was there.
I'm gonna say you was there.
I was there. That was my 18th birthday present from my mom. She had asked me, what did I want? This was that September. And she was like, what do you want? You turning 18. What do you want? I said, just get me Survivor Series tickets at the Garden. She said, that's it? I said, yeah, give me that. I said, give me. And she was like, well, it's a school night. She said, but she's like, in order for you to go, your sister has to go with you. I'm like, okay, I don't care. I just want to go. And that was an historic night on so many levels. And I believe that was the pay-per-view that was cr- kind of creeping the door a little bit into the Attitude Era, in my
Hmm.
opinion. And there's a lot of people that are in the business that were there. I think Damian Priest was there that night. Matt Cardona was there that night. There was a lot of people that were at the Garden. For me, Bret Hart's return against Stone Cold, Rocky Maivaia's debut. That was Yokozuna's last pay-per-view match. So we got to see Jimmy Snuka make a surprise return. And of
Yeah.
course, Shawn Michaels, lost the title to Sid that night. So it was, like I said, it was crazy to be in the Garden on that night.
I'm just stuck on the fact that you said that was your 18th birthday present.
Hmm.
Like, I would, if you would have never said that, I would have never, like right now, like no, like I know black don't crack, clearly. But for you to sit here and I'm like, what? I was only 6. Like, oh my gosh.
I turned 46 on November 7th. So
I did see that and I did wish you happy birthday, but happy belated
thank you.
birthday again.
Thank you. Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, I would have never guessed. Never guessed. And it seems like you're so much back then, like you said you were turning 18 and I was 6. Now you're 46 and I'm 34. And it's just like, what are numbers at this point?
Right. Right. It is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
It's
But
like what are numbers at this point? Right now we're
mhm,
we're more closer to age now than we were then. I'm just like, huh?
100%, 100%. And we're in the same circles and everything. And I think it's great that we're meeting a lot of, like-minded folks, that are really, making our noise, making our
Hmm.
presence felt in these spaces because, you know how it is, the vibes, you know, there are big publications, these big outlets, and they got the door, and no shade on them whatsoever. But when you're, self-made, starting from the bottom with no listeners or whatever the case, and you have to organically grow and
Yeah.
promote ads, all these other things coming out of pocket, to promote yourself. That's pretty much what it is. You have to bet on yourself and to promote yourself. And like I said, good things are gonna happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And it was so funny when we first started, we didn't know how big the Black wrestling community was
Right.
till we started. Like we always give our credit to Jabba Cheers podcast because they're the ones who actually gave us the advice. Because they've been at that time, I want to say they've been in this podcasting realm or even like this wrestling world for almost 8 years, maybe at that time when we started in 2018. So they just gave us the nuggets and they gave us the push and they gave us the back end. And that's why Queen PR and I always say like there's room for everybody to eat here. Like you can
Hmm.
depict wrestling from many facets. When we first started, we specifically made a focus on women's wrestling,
Right.
spotlighting women's wrestlers, spotlighting those who are heavily criticized and heavily underrated, as well as the ones who are doing what they need to do now. Like there was no stone unturned, untouched. And
Hmm.
now that we are 6 years and we're still expanding and growing and still, but now we're doing more. We just released the episode focusing on Crohn's disease awareness because Big Swole, former WWE and AEW wrestler, suffers from Crohn's disease. And because she suffers from it, that's when we all know the infamous her being let go, whatever, from AEW, the spat between her and Tony
Yeah.
Khan, which she talks about in the episode, which is out right now. But we know the real reason. It's like because she was literally wrestling knowing she was having these issues. And instead of her like having like taking that step back, she was still put on shows and it was just going underappreciated because of who her boss was at the time, So we like to step out of the box now and bring these awarenesses to our listeners and our fans because there's sometimes people are probably dealing with the same thing, they don't even know it.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct about that. And like I said, big ups to the Big Swole. I had an opportunity to meet her at Wale Mania last year. We had a few interactions on social media, but just getting that up close and personal, with her. And I know I was talking
Mhm.
about her daughter was, designing T-shirts and that type of stuff. And I was just saying I'm proud of that, and seeing, those type of things happen for our wrestlers. But you gave a mention to Jabba Tears. Huge shout out, by the way, to Sir Wilkins and the
Yes,
crew over there that are doing amazing, amazing, amazing work. And like I said, it was nice for you to give us, a little bit about who you are and what your podcast is all about with Queen PR. And like I said, nothing but love and admiration for what you guys continue to do.
thank
But
you.
this week, we're gonna backtrack a little bit, a couple of days, because we're gonna recap AEW Full Gear. We're going to talk about this past weekend, well, this past Friday's rather SmackDown, this past Monday's Raw, that's leading up to this weekend's Survivor Series. So, with that being said, let's go. So, AEW's Full Gear took place again this past Saturday at Newark, New Jersey's Prudential Center. My hometown, by the way, of Newark, New Jersey, was so cool to see wrestling in my hometown. I was deprived of that growing up. They broke ground in 2005, the year that I was leaving Newark, New Jersey. So I guess they were
Mm.
waiting for me to get out of town to start building an arena. But it's really nice to go back home, see my folks, my girlfriend that lives up there, but also being able to see professional wrestling at the Prudential Center. But before I get into the main card, I do want to highlight the one dark match that everybody was wanting to see, and that was QT Marshall as he took on Big Boom AJ with Big Justice and the Rizzler. Now, this match was highly promoted, through social media. It was getting million. Was it? I think one of their views of their videos got like 10 million or something like that
Hmm.
fairly recently, and I was very surprised that this match, because it was highly promoted, was on the pre-show, was on Zero Hour. Talk about that for a second.
Well, I didn't watch Zero Hour. I think I was in the midst of, I forget what I was doing. However, I did hear about, wrestling Twitter tells you everything. So even if you don't
Okay,
watch
yeah,
wrestling, you
right.
know. And to your point, the fact that this match was so highly publicized and so highly socialized, and for it to be a dark match, I just feel like that's wrong booking. Or it is right booking to have everybody else be so glued to the TV. Like if they put on a banger of a match in a pre-show, the rest of the show lined up has to be good. So it could go either way. I just feel like something for that caliber, for them to go on and do what they did in that match, it could have been something that's on the main roster for on the main show.
I agree. And there is a match that it should have followed, and we'll get to that in just a second. But I feel as though that there was matches, for example, like the Anna Deanna Purrazzo match, I felt should have closed out Zero Hour because though, I mean, top quality. I mean, we all know what
Hmm.
Deanna Purrazzo can do in that ring. Anna Jay coming back from Japan, honed her skills. They were only given 7 minutes, which I was just like, okay. But that, to me, they should have been given more time.
Hmm.
And that should have closed out Zero Hour to get ready for the main card. But the nonetheless, Big Boom AJ did win the match by pinfall. And again, QT Marshall, and big ups to him. I know him very well. He's a product of the world famous Monster Factory where I do my ring announcing. And it just came out, was it a few days ago, that Big Boom AJ had a broken foot
Yeah, I
and
saw that.
finished the match.
Finished the match with a broken ankle. Yep. Saw
That
that.
is that's crazy.
Saw that.
So
That's
big ups to
resilience at
him.
its finest.
Agree, but again, he was a wrestler, once upon a time.
Hmm.
So it's almost like, all right, get spit on it, get some dirt on it, and then let's go. So big ups to
Yeah.
him, and I'm gonna hope he heals up nicely. But the opening match of this pay per view was a 4-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The champions, Private Party, defended against the Outrunners, the Kings of the Black Throne. That's Malachi Black and Brody King, and of course the Acclaimed. I like the match. Of course, you're starting out a pay per view with a banger like that. They're teasing some things now for a potential breakup with the Acclaim. What's up with these tag teams breaking up, man? I don't
I have
understand.
no idea. And it's really starting to bug me. It is really starting to bug me. Like, I know we're going to touch on the New Day stuff, but
Yeah,
it's really breaking my heart with like breaking up tag teams. Like I know we're going to touch on the Jade and Bianca situation and stuff like that. But if it's working, then let it work. Don't fix if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I
And
agree.
with the Acclaimed, I mean, the Acclaim was riding so high for so long in AEW. So I can kind of see where fans will want them to do things separately, but that doesn't mean you have to break them up. Like, that doesn't mean you
Right,
have to, like, once catches a misstep, because things happen, miscommunication happens, but that doesn't mean, like, if one catches a misstep, then the other one is just going to start yelling and berating. And it doesn't mean that. It just means, okay, we have to communicate better. Like, they can do separate things and still have love for each other. It doesn't always have to be any type of animosity. And I hate when things like that happen in tag teams and they start to show that animosity on screen because now it's just like, okay, what's going on here?
right. It reminds me of when the Rockers broke up in 1991. They were seeds. They were planting seeds for months, where Shawn Michaels was getting fed up with Marty Jannetty, and you were starting to see these things. Then, of course, the infamous barbershop happened when they were on Brutus
That damn
Beefcake
barbershop.
show in the barbershop window, and he threw my man through the plate glass window, and I was just like, oh man. And even the WWF magazine, which I used to collect when I was a kid, had an expose about are the Rockers splitting up? And I was just like, come on, really gonna split them up? It was crazy. I thought
It's
they left some meat on the bone with the tag team, but ultimately, one of the greatest performers of all time emerged from that.
Yeah, true, very much so. But I don't think he had to go out that way for him to emerge that way. Like it just could have been something. I don't know. It could have been something else. It could have been
Crash
something else. But
out. Crash out wasn't a terminology we used back in 1992, but nonetheless, Shawn Michaels did have a crash out moment.
Shawn Michaels was crack. Shawn Michaels,
He
I feel like Shawn Michaels was the epitome of crash out back then. Losing your smile, doing whatever he was doing backstage, and it's translating and being projected in the ring. Like he was the epitome of crash out.
I have to, and especially what happened on NXT last night. He had another
Yes.
crash out with reason, with reason. You
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
so I don't have CW. So I'm over here trying to figure out why he hemmed up Eddie and then come to find out Eddie put his hands on Ava. Like, how did he put his hands on her? Like, I just need to know the context. Because all I saw was Shawn Michaels hemming up Eddie and kicking him out of there. Like, I just need to know, like, well, did he push her? Did he slap her? How did he lay hands on this girl? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Then I could be like, oh
R-
yeah, Shawn was right for hemming you up.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I would rather have Sean him me up than have about 9,001 Samoans coming after you. So
Go
let's
ahead. I mean,
let's
the final boss could return for that one. You touching my
yeah
daughter? Let's go.
yeah absolutely. But getting back on topic though, and I know, and again, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I love wrestling podcasts because we can go off the rails and bring it back on track. But getting back to the Acclaimed, as far as the tag team's concerned, like I said, I hope that they stick together and remain a team, but we'll see. But like I said, the match was awesome. I
Hmm.
love that AEW finally is putting the spotlight on Private Party. They're really I loved the presentation right from the beginning when they joined AEW. I mean, when you have a finisher called Gin and Juice and in the fashion of how they do with the Hurricane Rana into the cutter, I love that move.
Hmm.
But nonetheless,
That's beautiful.
they did retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. That match was 13 minutes and 25 seconds long. Overall, what did you think of the match in general?
It was a good match. I'm here for the acclaim. I'm not the acclaim. I'm sorry. Private Party. Fun fact, and it may be towards bias because one of the guys who was in Private Party, I actually grew up with him. Well, we grew up in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
So now it's just like, and my friend sent it to me, and I'm like, who was? the person, but being that he's younger than me, I know his face, but I really didn't know his name. But
Right.
I'm happy. Like you repping from where I grew up at. So I'm definitely always gonna root for you. Definitely in your corner. But I also love that Private Party became the tag team champions after taking it off of the Young Bucks somebody had to do it. And if it wasn't anybody else, I'm happy that it was them because now they're getting their feet wet.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're actually about to be on that ride of, stardom, celebrity stardom. They're about to just like, they're already on this trajectory of climbing high. And this is something that we want to see. They're so athletic, they're so energetic. Their
Mm-hmm.
their skill sets and their move sets, even if it's something that we've seen before, they make it their own. And it's never a dull moment when you see them in the ring.
Never.
So I love the match. I'm always here for Aleister Black, or Malachi Black, excuse me. I always love what he's done in the ring. I've always loved like his skill sets and his moves. My favorite move is his finisher, which is the Black Mass.
Black
Like
Mass, yeah.
that's my favorite move. Like hit me with that. I'm done. I'm out. It's a wrap. Sit. Train is not.
Yeah.
Sit.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the match was great. The match was great overall.
Awesome, awesome. Well, the next match was MJF taking on Roderick Strong. Obviously, MJF comes out and they had this big poster size thing that dropped down from the ceiling, from the top rather. It was a thank me later or whatever it was,
Hmm.
in the style of his scarf. And of course, he has the match with Roderick Strong. I know he got on the microphone and uttered something about,
What's the
I'm
line?
shooting movies, and of course, your
Your dad is shooting your
dad shooting your
mom.
mom. I'm just like, okay. I mean, I get it. MJF is that little scumbag that is gonna talk a lot of shit, but he's always gonna run away. But I mean, how much cheap heat is necessary?
That was that. I feel like there. I feel like there's always a line that you shouldn't cross.
Agreed.
In anything. And although it is cheap heat, it does like gain clickbait when you post it on socials. I just feel like there's a line that you shouldn't cross. And for MJF to come out and say that about Roderick's parents, it's just like, and now at this point, I'm gonna forget that I'm a wrestler because now you're using fighting words. So now you really want to fight me.
Right.
Um, and I know it builds up to them putting on a great match, but what if you don't put on such a great match because now you pissed me off to where I'm just like, I'm just going to beat you to a bloody pulp. Like, I don't care if the cameras are here or not.
Right, right, right,
Like,
right.
it's just a line sometimes that you don't tote. And MJF is so good at nitpicking. Like, he's a gnat at a barbecue that does not go away. Like, he's just going to keep nitpicking and nitpicking and nitpicking. And even when you try to squash him, he doesn't die.
No.
And it's just who he is. Like, MJF, he's so cocky and I can't stand it.
But you know what though? If you can't stand it, that must mean he's doing his
He's
job
doing his job.
as a heel. And I didn't buy him as a baby face. I didn't really understand what that whole dynamic was about, of him being this lovable good guy, because he is just so good at being a heel and being an absolute.
Asshole, if I could say it.
Yeah, he's our scumbag, asshole, whatever you want to call him. He's so good at that. I didn't buy him as a babyface at all. I didn't. But the match, was what it was. You know what I mean? He did defeat Roderick Strong, by submission. It was an armbar, and it was very subtle. Like the match just ended. Like I'm like, oh, okay, it's over.
Yeah,
It
that
was
could have been
kind of.
something that could have been on 0 hour if that's the case.
I mean, to me, that was a match I felt that should have been on Dynamite.
That too.
That
That
should have
too.
been on
That
Dynamite.
that
That
could have
to
been a
me,
match for free.
right? Because I just didn't see the significance of that even being on there at
Yeah, me
all.
neither. Me neither. Me neither.
Yeah.
I
All
saw it
right.
and I was
Well,
like, all right, I'm gonna doze off for a little bit.
exactly. But up next, we had the AEW TBS Championship with Mercedes Moné defending against Chris Statlander. I got to tell you, this was the second best wrestling match of the night because
Mhm.
you really got to see Mercedes Moné put on a wrestling clinic. Her and Statlander. I got to give Statlander her props because in many instances in wrestling, and I listen to Busted Open Radio. Shout out to Bully Ray, Dave LaGreca, Mark Henry, Tommy Dreamer, Denise Salcedo, the list goes, Matt Camp, all the crew over there that's doing amazing work. But what I hear
Mhm.
Bully say all the time is not about going over, it's not about getting over, but it's not about going over, but it's about getting over.
Mhm.
And Chris Statlander, once again got over because she hung in there with one of the best women's wrestlers that's on the planet right now. I mean, just the near falls. Because there was some instances where I thought, oh, Statlander's going to win this
Statlander's gonna
match.
win. Yeah.
I,
Yeah. You say CEO, and literally, as I'm watching AEW, she's on the screen right now. They're talking about her victory, her win. And for
Mhm.
me, and I've said this, I actually went to Boston when she debuted in AEW. I was there because I
Okay.
was celebrating my birthday. It was March 13th, so I remember, but I was there.
Okay.
And then, like, I know when she first started to wrestle again, we had found out that her injury in the match that she had with Willow was career ending. So it was just like, all right, she's taking it lightly because she doesn't want to mess up her ankle again. But then as time started to go on, I'm just like, this is not the Mercedes that I know.
Right.
Referring to how she would put herself like going to the very edge of it, and when she was in WWE.
Hmm.
And this, for the first time, her match against Chris Statlander reminded me of her time in WWE. Like that was the very first time in a long time that I actually saw a glimpse of Sasha Banks. She didn't have help.
Mm-mm.
She literally was giving it her all. I don't. I feel like the match could have went on a little bit longer. I feel like the ending was literally just a little bit. Oh snap! Okay, well, that's it. She don't got a sidekick no more. Sorry. Um, was a little bit rushed. I just feel like it could have lasted a little bit longer, but her and Chris did amazing. That is the Sasha Mercedes that I know that I love to watch. And
Well,
I'll
I'll
watch
say
that match
this.
over and over again if I need to.
Well, number one, I hope they run it back, but here's a stat for you. That match was 19 minutes, 25 seconds, and that is officially the longest women's match in the history of All Elite Wrestling.
And that's the most craziest thing ever. That is the most
Thinking,
craziest thing ever because when you have people like Tony Storm, even when
mhm,
she was champion, putting on
mhm,
bangers of a match, her matches should have carried long like that. When you
mhm,
have people like when Mariah May now too, when you have wrestlers like Willow, those matches should have been carried on. So for them to, and AEW's been out since what, 2019? So it had to take Mercedes Moné and Chris Statlander to put on the longest women's match in AEW history thus far. It baffles my mind.
Wow. Because I called in on Busted Open on Sunday to talk about this particular match and how I felt that it opened people's eyes in regards to how good the women's division is. They need to focus on it more by featuring a lot of other people. Because I was saying this was the only women's match on the card. We'll get to the vignette in a little while,
Mhm.
but I was just like, it makes no sense. There's a lot of women. You mean to tell me you couldn't put Willow on the main card?
On the main card.
Like to me, the MJF match shouldn't have been on the pay-per-view at all, in my opinion. It shouldn't have been. I just
I
it,
agree.
it just that was just a throwaway match to me. And this is no disrespect to either one of those guys, but to me, I just the story just wasn't
That was
eh,
the bathroom break.
right. But what's wild is that people were going to the bathroom initially at the beginning of the Mercedes Chris Statlander match, but the oohs and the ahs are starting because again, because I thought they were gonna. She was Statlander was gonna go for that tombstone, but then of course
Dude.
Mercedes was hitting at the knee, and then that's
Mhm.
where she got and she was able to end the match with the submission. But like I said, kudos to both women on
Yeah,
putting a
such a great
spectacular
match.
match, and I hope that this could usher in more opportunities for the women to be showcased a lot more than they have been.
Yeah, I agree. I do too. That was such a great match. Like if I had to rate that match, that was a 5 out of 5 for me.
I agree. But up next we have Switchblade, Jay White, taking on Hangman Adam Page. I thought again, like, when you got a guy like Switchblade that can go, to me, this was one of his better outings in AEW.
Hmm.
In there with Hangman Adam Page. And here's the crazy thing. Just like with MJF and Roderick Strong, to me, they're both heels, right?
Hmm.
This match, the same thing. Like, I don't know what Hangman is right now. I don't know if he's a heel or whatever, but I know Switchblade is a heel. So it's like there's really no one to cheer for. You just want to see a damn good wrestling match. You know what I mean? Rather than cheer for somebody. But anything that stood out to you in that match with Hangman and Switchblade?
It's just the fact that we keep seeing the same stuff regurgitated from me,
Right.
in a sense. Like I'm just like, and then my internet started acting up, so it was like really choppy. And after that, I felt like it was meant for me to watch Chris and Mercedes, and after that, it was just like, yeah, no, we're gonna keep buffering. So for me, but from pieces that I've seen, I'm just like, we know they can give a good match, but what is the end result of this?
Right.
Like what is the end result of Hangman and Jay White? Like we've seen it over and over again. We don't know. First of all, Hangman is like coming out to be more unhinged.
Hmm.
Like if that's part of the character build, then cool. If not, it's just like then what is the reason? Like, are you now doing this because you're upset? Are you like what is your reasoning behind this? And Jay White, I just feel like he just go with the flow. He just do whatever it is that he wants to do, and he's gonna put on a hell of a show regardless.
Right.
So for this match, I mean, it would for me. I don't think anything special stood out for me with this match because I just feel like I've seen it all already from these two. I don't feel like they
Right.
put each other to limits like if it was like anybody else. Like when Hangman, I believe it was Hangman and Moxley's feud. Like I don't think um limits are being pushed.
Mm.
And that's what I like to see. If you're feuding, and I'm always gonna go back to this, Sasha and Charlotte, every time they fought, a new limit was pushed. Every time.
Agreed. Hmm.
So I'm like, if you having a feud, I would like to see those limits be pushed. And sometimes with some of these wrestlers, you can have a feud and it'll be good verbiage, like good commentary, but when it comes down to you being in the ring, it just falls like flat. And that's how I feel like this kind of felt for me.
Yeah, like I said, two damn good workers. You know what I mean? And I just what you expect is just a good wrestling match, but the story was just it was a huge disconnect for me. But
Hmm.
nonetheless, that match did end with Jay White getting pinfall. Match was 19 minutes and 55 seconds, and up next was the match of the not only the match of the night, but this is a contender for match of the year. Will Ospreay versus
Hmm.
Kyle Fletcher. Man, oh man, oh man. Be my guest. Talk about it. What was
It was an
just
upset. It was such an upset. Like, oh my gosh. Again, like I said, internet was acting up with the watching, so I couldn't watch it in full. But from what I've seen, I'm like, wait, and I love Will Ospreay. Like we know Will Ospreay could wrestle his behind off. Like there's
mhm.
no, and Kyle Fletcher is also a great wrestler. So again, you put two people who work well together and they push those limits. But I was not expecting Kyle Fletcher to win. I was not expecting that. And I'm just like, Will Ospreay lost? And it is just like you just felt the air being sucked out of the arena once they raised Kyle Fletcher's hand. Because everybody was just,
Yeah,
it was like,
but
it wasn't like beating the streak, Undertaker streak shot,
right, right.
but it was like, what? Like, huh? But now it's gonna make for a good storyline moving forward with Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher.
when you have enough equity that Will Ospreay has, a loss like this doesn't hurt his stock at all.
Oh yeah, it
But it
doesn't.
raises Kyle Fletcher's. I mean, first of all, just the the first couple of sequences that they did in the beginning of the match with doing an inverted Spanish fly, and I'm just like, okay, these guys are getting ready to go because they had a match on Dynamite. I want to say earlier this year,
Hmm.
and the match was okay. It was good. I mean, it was good quality, but this was just next level. And of course, the highlight of the match was when Kyle Fletcher did a tombstone off the apron on the stairs. I'm just like, oh my God, what are we seeing here? And it was just seesaw match. I mean, just the false finish, kickouts, all these things. It was just, it took the energy out of the building because it was almost like, and I'm not comparing the matches because again, Shawn and Taker are above everybody, but it's almost like how the energy was taken out of the building at WrestleMania 25 after the Undertaker Shawn Michaels match. I don't
Hmm.
think that the fans were able to get into the rest of the matches as much once that match happened.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And like I said, Kyle, that was the longest match of the night, by the way. 24 minutes, 15 seconds. Kyle Fletcher did get the pinfall. And like I said, I hope they run this match back because the fans deserve it and they deserve it too. I mean, damn good workers. And I'm glad they're with All Elite Wrestling where they can actually do these kind of
Hmm.
matches. Now,
Hmm.
what happened after this was the championship celebration for Mariah May. Now, this is where I thought that the AJ Boom match with QT Marshall should have been
Hmm.
because it was a little comedy, the little haha and all that. And I think that could have, granted, got the fans to kind of bring it down a little bit, but also be entertained. Because to me, what happened with Mariah May with the celebration and her hitting was Amina over the head with the bottle.
No, she didn't hit her over the head. She was about to. Mina
She was
turned
about
around
to, right? She turned
and she kicked the
around,
bottle
out of
out of
her,
her
right,
hand and then speared her off the stage.
off the stage. And I was like, I thought it was a little out of place.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been there.
Not
That's
on
something
pay
you
per
could have
view.
seen on Dynamite as well.
That should have been this week's Dynamite.
Hmm.
As
Hmm.
we're recording, as that Dynamite is going on right now, that was I thought that segment should have been on television and not on pay per view. And I thought because here's the crazy thing, and now I said this on social media, and I even said it on Busted Open. There were three people in my section that came in during the MJF Roderick Strong match, and they were sitting there, and they asked me. They said, when is the AJ Boom match happen? When is the Costco guys gonna wrestle?" I said that happened at the at 0 hour on the pre-show. They said it did. They walked off it. They walked out and left.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. I mean, I
and
went to an
this and
AEW show to for that. It was who was it? It was Brian Danielson and I forget who he was fighting. And it was the opening match.
that was I tell you exactly what it was. That was AEW Grand Slam 2021 against Kenny Omega.
No, no, no. The one recently. The one recently. I just went to one recently
Okay.
that was at Arthur Ashe, and it was Brian Danielson and somebody else. And I forget who it was. And that was the first match. I was like did looking, waiting for going to the seats and you see them fighting, you hear it, and then next thing you know was I think Brian won. I'm like, huh? Like, why is this first? Like you would expect that to be main event. It was a main event match, but that was first. I was like, no.
Well, I guess in an instance like that, they want to hook the audience, and I get it because you want to make sure that when you talk about the Nielsen ratings and everything, you want to have the people's attention. But you can lead it the other way around, where you could lead up to the main event. You know what I mean? So it just really depends, on the feeling of what you think is going to be right, from the fans' experience and what you want the corporate sponsors to suit whatever, as far as who you got to, when they see these ratings. So I get it, but I thought, considering the fact that the Costco guys were so heavily promoted. They were going on
Mhm.
TV, on talk shows talking about this. That deserved to be on pay-per-view. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And you're
Sometimes
getting million.
booking is wrong.
Yeah, it was crazy. But the next match was Daniel Garcia and Jack Perry for the TNT Championship. I was very surprised of this finish. I did not see it happening. Um, nigga, this is no shade on Jack Perry at all, but I just felt that this title reign just felt extremely flat.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
the TNT title has just completely just fell flat.
I don't even know how many titles there are in AEW at this point. Because you got trios, you got TBS Women's, you got Women's World Champion, you got TNT. It's so many. I don't know
Hmm.
who holds what. And then for the ones who you think are supposed to hold it up to a standard so you don't forget about it, they're
Right.
not.
Don't forget Ring of Honor titles as well, because Ring of
Yep,
Honor
this is
has.
this match right now. Jericho versus the Japanese guy. I don't know.
I know you're talking
Bite
about.
bite
Yes,
yeah,
yeah, they were promoting that,
and
but
this is what's happening right now. And I'm just like, why is this even a thing right now? Like, why does Jericho hold the ROH title, or why does the other guy hold the ROH title? I don't.
well, I think they're trying to. What I think, again, I don't know for sure, but what it seems like is that I heard something where Ring of Honor might be getting a television deal, and in an instance like that, people are familiar with Jericho, regardless of what people know about him or whatever. But nonetheless, he is a household name. He's been around a while. So when you got these television executives saying, "Hey, who's on your show?" Think about it with Netflix right now. Who did they say they wanted? Roman,
Roman.
Cody, and Punk.
And who they got? Roman, Cody, and Punk.
So again, it's bigger than just pro wrestling in these instances. Sometimes, you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
But getting back to the TNT title, the right guy won. Daniel Garcia, he just resigned with the company. Congratulations to him. And he is the brand new TNT champion. And I hope that they put the focus on those, because to me, that's equivalent to the World Television Championship, WCW back in the day. That should be defended almost every week, 15-minute, 20-minute time limit or whatever, for the title and build the equity back in that belt. Because to me, it just lost its luster
Hmm.
over time. It really, really did. Um, there was Koshisuke Takeshita.
Takeshita, yeah, but real quick, and I feel like we seeing another side of Daniel Garcia now.
Right.
Like his heel turn, like he's turning. If it wasn't proven in that moment, you can tell like he's about to like do a crazy heel run.
Mm.
Um, like just how he was just him and Jack Perry was just going at it. I saw a clip where I think it was uh I don't know if it was at Full Gear or before when it was like I think he strapped Jack Perry to a car or something to that effect in the parking
Hmm.
lot. I'm just like, yeah, Dan Garcia is about to turn heel.
A little bit more of a mean
There'll be no
streak,
more dancing.
a little aggressive.
Yeah, it's gonna be no more
Yeah,
dancing for a while.
yeah, get a little bit more serious, and I
Mhm.
wouldn't mind that at all.
He
I
needs
wouldn't mind
that's
that
what
at
he needs.
all. He doesn't have to put on a suit or anything like that, but I just think that a little bit more aggression, in his
Hmm.
work style, I think he could really benefit from that. But again, Takeshita, he defended the international championship against Ricochet. The match went 13 minutes and I'm sorry, 19 minutes and 15 seconds long. And again, I'm glad Ricochet is where he is now, in AEW, and he can wrestle the style that he wants to.
Hmm.
I like Takeshita. I like his no nonsense style. Of course, Don Callis getting some F Don Callis chants at him, doing his
Love that.
job is yeah,
Always love that.
absolutely. Yeah. But Takeshita did defeat Ricochet, like I said, to retain the international championship. The co-main event was Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley versus Swerve Strickland was the co-main event. So this means a lot for so many. And shout out to MVP, who I was actually at GCW's Bloodsport 12. MVP took on Josh Barnett
Hmm.
in a damn good, it was a catch wrestling, shoot fight type stuff, work shoot fight. And MVP is still, he's still got a lot left in the tank. So kudos to him. But of course, they accompany him and Shelton Benjamin accompany Bobby Lashley to ringside. And man, you know, I at first I wasn't buying Swerve as a face, but damn, I just think that Prince Nana, I think, puts that entertainment value, in that with the dance and the,
I
all
love
that
Prince
stuff. You know what I
Nana.
mean? I've been, again, I love Prince Nana too. I've gotten to know him over the last couple of years
Same,
personally.
same,
We share.
same.
Yeah, he's an amazing dude who's been at this almost 30
Long time.
years.
Yes, a long time. Like they
He
were showing
did
clips of him when he was wrestling in WWE, and I was like, wait a minute.
on Velocity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my gosh, I
Absolutely.
didn't realize that was him.
Yeah, he's Prince Nana, and I mean, I remember in the early days of ROH and the early days of the Embassy with Jimmy Rave, rest in peace. So I mean, Nana has been around the block a long time, but no, the match is what I expected. You know, I'm glad that it wasn't Scott. The match went 13 minutes 35 seconds long. Obviously with Swerve being a former AEW World Champion, making sure that he still got some shine. You know what I mean? Because if they would have done what WWE did with Brock and Kofi, Swerve would have his value just would have plummeted.
Stop. Yeah. I
But
think
the
you be knowing when they're about to come on TV because as soon as you mention their names, they're on the TV right now. Swerve is
oh
actually
man,
talking to Renee right now.
right.
I'm guessing he's talking about oh, oh, this is interesting. One half of the Acclaim is approaching Swerve right now.
Oh boy, I'm assuming it's Platinum Max, huh?
Yep.
I guess they're gonna have to figure out who has the best. I guess they're gonna have a battle rap, huh? Huh? We
Guess
got your.
so.
I guess it's pro wrestling's answer to Kendrick Lamar and Drake, huh?
Oh, please. As long as no lawsuits are involved, then we're
Now
fine.
Now here's the thing. Now it would be very funny if they was to do a spoof on this because if this was Vince McMahon back in the day, he would have done something like this to mimic that. I'm
Yeah.
serious. And if I'm
Yeah.
Tony Khan, I would totally take advantage of that.
Yeah. I don't think Tony Khan's that smart though. I don't think he's that smart. Oop. Yep, and down goes Max. I don't think Tony Khan's that smart to capitalize or maximize on that. It'll be
That's
good.
wild. It would be good. It would be really funny, but nonetheless, like I said, Bobby Lashley did win, by submission with the Hurt Lock. And by the way, the fans was chanting, "We heard people, we heard people!" Like they were chanting that during the match, and even the next night at GCW's Bloodsport 12, we were chanting that for MVP. When he was coming to the ring, and that's a dope song, man.
It is. It is. It is. That
Yeah.
what it is.
Now the main event of Full Gear was John Moxley, taking on Orange Cassidy. Now, again, I did not see Orange Cassidy walking out with the title. Moxley did win. The match was almost 20 minutes long, but it was because everyone was expecting something to happen, like a Shane McMahon to a pick, because everyone that's been heavily
I don't
rumored
know
for a
why
long
everybody has this
time.
obsession that Shane McMahon is going to appear in AEW. I'm not understanding. Like, I get you have friends over there or
hmm
whatever, and I get but what would be the reason for Shane McMahon to honestly appear in AEW? I need it to
Oh,
make sense.
because I guess with the whole Moxley saying, because they're carrying around that briefcase and this is not your company anymore type thing. They're coming with it, and everyone's thinking because Shane does have ties with MMA and shoot fighting and that type of stuff. Remember, he was doing Raw Underground,
Mm.
during that time, the pandemic or whatever. So maybe, and that's what everyone's claiming to. And also, too, it just so happened that picture surfaced on social media with Tony Khan and Shane McMahon.
Shane, yeah.
And I know Shane, I think in the Young Bucks too, I think that was fairly recent. So that's why everyone's kind of guessing maybe that could be the case. But it was what happened after, the match where of course, they're getting the heck out of there, the arena. They're trying to go to their pickup truck, and all you see is a car that rammed right into it, and it was none other than Darby Allin. And that's when they all got out of there, got to another waiting car, and and pulled off in the arena. So again, we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe is it going to be Darby Allin that's going to take on John Moxley? Maybe at World's End. with some type of crazy stipulation. You know what I mean? At this point, you might as well do a Halloween Havoc 95 and have a monster truck match. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
my thing is that so I saw that on Twitter and everybody was catching, well, that segment alone was catching backlash because it was just like, is AEW not protecting their wrestlers for Darby Allin to really sit and crash that car and not only injure himself, but also, wreck a car and potentially injure other people? Like, are they really being safe? Like, we know Darby Allin is definitely a rebel without a cause. Like, he does the dead man drop. He was about to climb
Mount
Mount
Everest.
Everest before he broke his damn ankle. So we know he's a rebel without a cause, but at the same time, it's just like, when does your cause stop? Because like, what if that stunt didn't go right and on impact you could have died on impact? Then what? So it's just like, I don't know. Darby Allin, they need to do figure something out with Darby Allin and to figure out something quick with him.
Yeah, I guess if they wanted to go off the pay-per-view, pay-per-view to go off with a bang, well, damn it, they delivered, for what they wanted. I really didn't see the significance of it. It could
Me
have been
either.
a situation he could have done a run-in, you know what I mean?
And with a
However,
skateboard that way, not even hitting the skateboard on the windshield of the car you just smashed. Like it's already damaged. Like why are you doing more damage to it?
yeah, like he tried to climb the truck and he
He couldn't
fell.
he kept sliding off. It's like, what you trying to do? I'm
I'm just man, it's crazy. So we're gonna tie the bow on that one on the Full Gear pay-per-view, and I want to move on to last Friday's Smackdown. You know, we'll talk about what happened at the end, but in the middle of the show, Bianca Belair's in the ring wrestling, and all of a sudden goes to the Titantron, and you see a sprawled out Jade Cargill on a car where she apparently had gotten hit, whatever the case may be. And it's the who done it storyline again, because back in 1999 there was the who ran over Stone Cold,
over Stone Cold.
and we
2002,
didn't
it
front
was the who beat up Shawn
Michaels,
Michaels.
and yeah, exactly. It was the who done it, and it's crazy because they made us wait a year, well, 11 months really, on who ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it was
Mm-hmm.
Rikishi. He was like,
Rikishi,
I
because he
didn't
did it
do
for
it
The
for
Rock.
me. I did
I
it.
did it for The
I
Rock.
did it for The Rock. It was like,
Such a
wait,
good
what?
moment.
I couldn't believe it because they said he had blonde hair. Rikishi had blonde hair, but he was the last person, and maybe that was the point of it. That
Hmm.
it was the last person we thought, and it was Rikishi, and Triple H was the one that put him up to do it. And his receipt of doing it, hey, you get to dance into everybody's hearts, and be the most lovable character if you could do this one favor for me and run over Stone Cold Steve Austin. Um, I thought it was gonna be it that I thought who ran her over. I thought it was gonna be Naomi.
Everybody is saying that.
Everyone thought it was, but remember last year when Charlotte when Jay Cargill was introduced to Charlotte.
I said that. I promise you, I said that. I said, yo, Charlotte, I'm sorry if you hear my heater is just coming on. So if you hear it, that's just what it
No, no,
is.
no, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Um, I was like, Charlotte just posted a video on social media, like her a diamond breaking or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we fast forward, we see Jade Cargill getting attacked, and everybody's talking about Charlotte maybe coming back, this new IC title, the United States Women's title. I said that. I said it could be Charlotte. I said Charlotte had that run in with Jade in the back, and then Jade kind of like brushed her off, like I know who you are, and walked off. So Charlotte could be coming back to get her lick back. I honestly said that, and I honestly believe that. Like, I don't think it's anybody on Team Survivor Series, on Team
No,
Bianca Belair, whoever team
no,
captain. I don't
no,
think
not at
so.
all.
I definitely said I think it's Charlotte, 100%.
Yeah, it was. And I was just like, dang. And everybody was talking about who is it, who did it, who did it, who did it. But it tells some great stories, man. So I guess there's only one way to find out, and that's just tune into Survivor Series this weekend and all WWE programming, social media, and everything else. But that was SmackDown. Of course, the end of SmackDown. It was the meeting of the OG Bloodline and Bloodline 2.0, and Solo getting on the microphone telling Roman, "Hey, we don't have to do this. We can
You
just
can
you can
acknowledge
just
me.
join my bloodline, and we can run this company for years and years and years." And when Roman was ready to talk, ladies and gentlemen,
Chills.
my
Goosebumps.
name is Paul Heyman. Now, by the way, I was at Madison Square Garden at SmackDown
Yeah, put
when
through the
they,
table.
yeah, I
I was
was
there
there,
too. I was there.
and I was like, oh man,
I was there.
he looked a little slimmer, and he had that tan,
Just like
but
Solo.
yeah,
I was so
just like
confused.
Solo,
Just like
he's,
Solo, barely interacted with Roman.
mm-hmm. And he said,
Walked out with
there's gonna
CM
be,
Punk.
right. He's like, there's gonna be 5-on-5, and he points out the CM Punk. He comes out, and there now is fisticuffs. It's now 5-on-5
This
at Survivor Series, and I'm just like, okay. And I'm like, why Punk? But this can mean some things in Survivor Series because remember, they asked Seth Rollins and he said no. So how do you make him mad?
put in the guy that
Bringing
you
in
hate the
CM
most.
Punk. And he hates Roman and he hates Punk. So, and we'll get to Survivor Series in a little while, but I think we'll be seeing Mr. Rollins in
For
Vancouver this
sure. For
Saturday.
sure.
He may pay them a visit and
I was
see him,
supposed
but
to be in Vancouver this Saturday.
I know. But
Condolences
nonetheless,
sucks. However, my reaction, I recorded it's on my it's on those wrestling girls TikTok right now,
hmm
or it's on mine. I don't know. Either way, it's on TikTok. My reaction to it.
hmm
And when Paul Heyman came out, I was like, yes, the wise man is back. I honestly thought Brock Lesnar's music was going to hit. And I'd be like,
I
oh,
did
this makes
too.
no sense. And then I'm definitely going to be upset.
Right,
But for Punk to come out, it makes sense because Punk was the first, no, lying, the second original Paul Heyman guy. Because Brock Lesnar was the first since 2001. Um, and then full circle moment, if you remember, CM Punk Day came back at Survivor Series last year in his hometown of Chicago. And he has not wrestled at Survivor Series. So for him to now come to Survivor Series this year and wrestle, definitely a full circle moment. Thirdly, you have two people. Well, Seth Rollins don't like a lot of them in that match,
right.
but I feel like the person he hates the most right now is Bronson Reed. So when you put CM Punk in that place instead of him, it's just like, so you're going to really choose my other enemy to fight my enemy, you know? So now you're right. I do feel like Seth Rollins is going to make his way into something, but this is your loss. I was really rooting for Seth Rollins to be like, you know what? I don't like Roman, but I don't like Bronson even more. If I can get him
Mm,
into this cage and literally curb stomp his face on every which way these four corners of his ring, put
right.
me in. And I don't even know why Seth Rollins don't like Roman. Roman got his lick back from 11 years
Agreed.
ago, however many years ago. He got his lick
Right.
back. You caused that, not him.
Very, very true. And like I said, when it came to this fit, because again, everyone thought it was going to be Brock, but some people had an inkling it was going to be Punk, but we just didn't know.
Not me.
So,
That went
right.
over my head completely. I
Yeah. So
forgot about Punk.
now that, he's back, and as we're recording this, November 27th, 10 years ago today was the infamous podcast
Right.
that came out,
The pipe bomb.
and he talked about the Roman Reigns thing about you got to make Roman look strong, as far as the match he had against the Shield. It was a 3-on-1 match at TLC, and they was like, "Hey, you're gonna go over." All right, cool. He said, "But you gotta make Roman look strong. You gotta make him look strong." And Punk was like, if you want him to look strong, just have them beat me."
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe Punk was not intentionally trying to bury Roman Reigns. He was just talking about the ineptitude of the people that were trying to tell him something about, well, we want you to win this match, but and you're harping on, well, you want this guy to look good. It's like, well, okay, it's cool, but they kept harping on it, so that's what he was highlighting. And I
Hmm.
and I think and that is when the fans started to sour on Roman Reigns, and it kind of ruined. So that's another story in itself that they could tap into. You know
Yeah,
what I
because
mean?
remember at the end of it, Roman was like, "What are you doing here?"
And Punk
Like,
said, "I'm here for him.
I'm here
I'm
for
not here
him,
for
right?
you."
I'm not here for you. I'm here for him. He asked me, so I'm gonna do it. So that's also underlying tension and beef
Mm-hmm.
between Roman and Punk. This is why I love Survivor Series because it's always DTA, always
Agreed.
DTA. However, Survivor Series is always heightened because you never know. Like I was just watching the clip where the Big Show turned on his team to go with the Authority
Right.
or whatever. You just never know who's going to either turn, who's either going to join, be on the same side, be in allegiance with each other. You never know. This is why I love Survivor Series.
Twice in a row, I'll tell you, and I saw this as it happened. 1988 Survivor Series and 1989 Survivor Series. Bad News Brown legit walked out on both of his teams. He walked out.
Yeah, I heard that. Definitely heard that.
I was just watching it today. I was watching 80, 88 and 89. I was watching that Survivor Series, which is one of my favorites from back then. And Bad News Brown, because he was a loner. He didn't like anybody. He was from Harlem, New York.
Period.
Badass. Yeah.
You know, New
He was
York, if
Stone Cold.
we would literally ride alone if we can't.
Right. He was the original Stone Cold. The bald head, black tights, black boots, badassery. Bad News Brown. But this past Monday's Raw, there was the Damian Priest Gunther promo in which, Damian Priest laid him out, got the
Laid
razor's edge on the table.
out.
But everybody is talking about the vignette between Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston because next week, next Monday, is the celebration of the 10 years of the New Day, which is going to have all three members there.
Okay, good.
And it was, I'm just trying to find the words because it really was like breathtaking as far as what they were saying to each other in the back. When Kofi Kingston told him, "This is exactly why me and E never let you call the shots," I'm like, you ever notice when you ever get mad at some when you get mad at somebody is when those truths really come out of how you really
Hmm.
feel. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So talk to me about that promo, that vignette promo, and what this means for next week and what could happen.
One, I don't want to because it's like we're literally watching something die
Yeah.
and we can't do anything to fix it.
No. Mm-mm.
Like they were hitting below the belt.
It was
When
bad.
Xavier Woods said, "What do you think me and E did? We gave you everything that you needed and wanted, and we got you at Kofi Mania. And then for you to turn around and lose your championship to Brock Lesnar in like 6 seconds."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh
And
my
it
gosh.
but Kofi
Like,
also
why are we going
responded,
slow?"
but he also said I had a Hall of Fame career before you even met me. And I'm
And he did.
like, I'm like,
And he
damn.
did. It's like, when does it stop? Because he did have a Hall of Fame career before.
Yeah,
And I feel like the three of them came together because it's just like when you watching those singing shows, One Direction, R.I.P. Liam Payne. They
right,
were all singing solo, and they were good solo, but when they came together as a group, they were better. And you had One Direction. Same with Fifth Harmony. They were all singing solos, but they say,
right.
no, put them as a group. So now as a group, you're doing more. Kofi
Agreed.
Kingston, first African American world champion, I believe. I think that's what it was, a universal champion, whatever one it was for Kofi Mania. Or
The
maybe it was Big,
WW, it was the WWE champion.
yes. Big E winning winning his championship, and then the new Kofi and Xavier Woods winning the tag team titles. That following what was that SmackDown at Barclays? Because I was there,
Right.
and they came right in my literally. They came when they went in the crowd. They stood right in front of me and P. We are in the pictures, saluting and congratulating them.
That's
And the
awesome.
New Day went on. They went from like having a choir and everybody saying New Day sucks to turning around doing bootios, hosting WrestleMania, you
Mm-hmm.
know, doing things like that they probably would have never accomplished as individuals by themselves. So
I
now
was at the
it's just
Royal
boiling over.
I was at the Royal Rumble in 2015 in Philly, and they did a dark match against Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, and they were chanting "New Day sucks." I mean, they were booing those guys out of the building because no one was really understanding the direction. Because you had the choir, you had the where the Biggie said, "We're going to give you clap therapy," you
Hmm.
know, and they were trying to find themselves as a group, and they end up being one of the most over acts that they ever had.
Overacts, yeah. I also feel like Royal Rumble 2015 in Philly is just so testy and touchy. I feel like everybody was booing everybody. That's it. Like even Roman The Rock got booed. I'm just like, huh? Why are you booing The Rock? But I
I was
understood because
right.
the person to win that match was Daniel Bryan,
Hmm.
and tossed over, ended early, so The Rock comes and helps Roman, which is cool and great and all. And I'm sorry to say, you see, I got Roman right behind me, and I got The Rock above me. I was voting for Daniel Bryan too now to win Rumble.
People left the building. Some people were walking out of the
Oh, I'm
exits.
sure.
Yeah, they
I'm
were.
sure. I'm sure. Absolutely, I'm sure.
I'm sitting there because I'm in the uppers, and I'm like, people are really leaving. I said, damn.
Because we haven't seen Daniel Bryan. That wasn't the same year as WrestleMania 30 in New
That was
Orleans.
30. That was going on to 31.
Right. We haven't really seen him since WrestleMania 30, or maybe a little bit after that, but then he went out injured.
He was injured, right? The shoulder.
Right. So for him to come back and we want to see the amazing things that he's going to do because of what he did at WrestleMania 30, and then you give us Roman Reigns winning, no shade, no tea, Rumble to go on to Mania and lose
That was
against
that was
Brock
crazy.
Lesnar. Or was that Seth Rollins? Nope, that was Brock
That was no,
Lesnar.
remember, no, he wrestled
That was the
Brock
cash
Lesnar,
in
but that was the cash in. Heist of the
against Seth
century.
Rollins.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, what was the point in all of that? And it was like this was around the time they kept pushing Roman Reigns down our throat, giving us the John Cena treatment. And I'm just like, I love Roman, but you're doing too much. Let him, excuse me, let him organically grow. And essentially, that's what he did twice.
They should have pulled the trigger of him being a heel the night after WrestleMania 33 when he beat The Undertaker. Because when he said, "This is my yard," I
It's
mean,
my yard now. Yeah,
oh
he
my
should
God,
have.
they booed that man like he, it's almost like he killed somebody.
Yeah.
And man, I was just like, are they gonna let this man talk? That's when they should have pulled the trigger, and they
That
didn't
should have
do
been
it.
the heel. That should have been his heel run right there. But that's another match I can never watch again. Taker and Roman.
Yeah, considering what
It was
Taker was
real sad.
injured.
It was real sad to watch. I'm just like, when he running and he couldn't keep up with him running them ropes. Nope, that's it.
The main event of WrestleMania that year was supposed to have been Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens for the Universal title. But because Goldberg and Brock Lesnar had, lightning in a bottle, they figure, okay, we'll put the Universal title on Goldberg and have Brock beat him at WrestleMania. But originally, it was penciled in originally to be Chris Jericho winning the Universal title from Kevin Owens.
I would have loved to see that much better
Yeah,
than getting Brock and Goldberg. Especially
that
because
was
Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, they was like the whole "you made the list"
the Festival
storyline,
of
and
Friendship thing, and it
yeah,
culminated. And he was like, "Why is my name on this list?" And Kevin just boom.
that's it. That's it. So now I'm like, this whole Kevin Cody story, and I'm like, why are you mad? You turn on your friends all the time. You injured him. You took Sami Zayn out right after he won at NXT. You took that man clear out.
And that promo with him and Cody Rhodes, my God, that was, and that match was just announced. It will be on Saturday night's main event,
Saturday
December
night main
14th
event.
in Long Island. with Kevin Owens challenging Cody for the WWE Championship, and I'm thinking Kevin's gonna walk out with the championship.
If he walks out with this championship over Cody, I think that this needs Cody. I feel like Cody Rhodes is also about to turn heel because his attitude and his demeanor when he was going to the ring for Kevin, then coming outside of the ring and getting into that little scuffle with Carmelo Hayes. Let Cody turn heel. I'll be here for it. Because now you took everything that he worked up for that you wanted to make his dad Dusty proud on, and now you're
Right.
taking it from him. You're taking his friends. Kevin Owens is taking his friends out left, right, and center. Let Cody be a heel. Let all of that energy muster be mad and muster up. Like, let him be a heel, just going on a full attack on everybody. I'm telling you, Cody would be so over.
They're not ready for heel Cody, and we've seen heel Cody when he was in New Japan and Ring of Honor. We've seen it,
I think
and
Netflix better get ready. Netflix better get ready.
because Cody will be nuclear heat. I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you right now. But the last match of Raw, of course, was the women's Survivor Series match to get the advantage with Bianca with
Bianca Nia
Nia
Jax.
Jax and Bianca and Nia Jax, and of course, Bianca Belair did win with the help of Bayley, in that match as well. So now we have our 5-on-5 women's War Games match, and we have now the men's War Games match as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, how this is all going to play out at Survivor Series, and we're going to get into that right now.
Okay.
So I want to start off with the United States Championship match between LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura. The recently returning Shinsuke Nakamura. We hadn't seen him in a while, and everyone was wondering when he was going to come back.
I
When
forgot
when
he
was he going to come
existed.
back? Yeah, I mean, because I felt as though with Shinsuke, and again, I've been a Shinsuke fan since his days in New Japan, and I was always saying, his whole aura would fit WWE with the showmanship, you know what I mean? His entrance, so to speak. And they had him at WrestleMania again with the AJ match, and they didn't strike. You know what I mean? But I don't see him winning the US title this time right now. I
Not
I
yet.
totally see I totally see a possible double disqualification, a count out, or something like that. Your thoughts?
I do feel like this match is definitely going to end in either LA Knight retaining from either this DQ, this double count out, or him retaining by pinfall and Shinsuke they taking this feud to another level. I don't see the belt changing hands anytime soon, unless something happens and the belt has to. I don't see it yet because LA Knight worked so hard for this. So for him to drop it down to Shinsuke, and Shinsuke ain't been there in months.
So long, yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like this is just chapter one of their feud.
Okay. Now, what we forgot to mention though was another crash out moment from Raw from Adam Pearce because of the scuffle that took place on Raw with Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser, and as far as getting this into this IC title situation, and he
That
announced the match.
spear
Yeah,
that Braun Breaker hit because Ludwig Kaiser moved out of the way. If
yeah,
that didn't cause internal damages, like they should have checked him out as soon as that happened. That's crazy.
that it hurt me, and I was watching on TV. You know what I mean? Like that, I'm like, damn, that hurt.
I was like, yo, he died. Like I get so leery of when people get hit in the chest at full force just because
Yeah.
of what happened to Owen Hart.
Mm.
Like when he fell on the turnbuckle on the top of the ring post and his chest essentially caved in. Yes, like it scares me. So for
Agree. Yeah.
when Braun Breaker hit that spear, I'm just like, yo, like, nah, check his heart, check his chest, check to see if he punctured anything or that was so scary. But now the fact that it's a triple threat, and And I said it too. I was going to text my group chat. I'm like, they should just make this a triple threat because at this point, nobody's going to sit here and win if everybody keeps
Right.
interfering in their matches.
Interfere in the
And that's
matches,
what they
right?
did.
Exactly.
And that's what they did. Again, what I love about Survivor Series, I love how the fact that they be brawling and you be here and let them fight. Because let them fight. Let them fight. Let them go. Let them brawl. Let them kill each other before they get to it. So whoever's the weaker one will lose. And that's it.
And I do see Braun Breaker retaining the Intercontinental Championship,
Sure.
as far as defining his run, his second run, I might add, as the champion. Of course, we have the women's War Games match with Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley taking on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. Um, it's tricky because there's
For me,
so many directions they can go in with this.
it's
I do.
true.
I now give me your prediction of what you think is going to happen. Who's going to win this match?
I do think because that she hasn't lost yet. I think she has an undefeated streak at Survivor Series. Bianca's team is gonna win because they haven't
Mm-hmm.
lost yet. Bianca was
Agreed.
sole survivor in 2021. Her and Becky were sole survivors in 2022 because I
22.
was in that press conference and I asked that question. They
Mm-hmm.
won last year in 2023, and the four of them, Charlotte, Shotzi, Bianca, and Becky, was sitting on top of that cage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I do think Team Bianca's gonna win, but I also feel like it's gonna be revealed on who actually attacked Jade,
Mm-hmm.
maybe during that match. And it's gonna cause some type of a distraction, but they're not gonna let it overtake them. And
Mm-hmm.
then once they win, that's when all hell is gonna break loose. That's how I feel about it. But I also feel like on the other side, you got Tiffany who still Miss Money in the Bank, and you have Liv and Nia on her
Mm-hmm.
team, and she could just
Mm-hmm.
turn and be like, "Listen, fuck this, I'm cashing in,
Mm-hmm.
cashing in right now," and they can just have their little match or whatever within whatever. So it really just depends. It really can go all these different ways. I also feel like if that was to happen, then that means Team Nia would have to win because it will also add more of a anticipation to it. Oh, we just won this, but now I'm about to beat this, take this belt off of you.
I'm with you on that. I'm picking Bianca's team to win, but as they're raising the cage, I see either Liv or Nia still being sprawled out from the aftermath of the match,
And Tiffany.
and
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany cashes in and wins the championship. That's what I think is going to happen as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. So this is why I feel I'm so like I'm going to be crying sitting on my couch or even at the watch party because I know that I should be in there feeling the energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't be there to feel that energy, to see it in person, to like cry and like give real react. Like that match is going to be so good. And now that Bayley, if somebody already spoiled it on TikTok, we know Bayley's going to be, we already know Bayley's on the team 5, whatever.
Right.
I mean, a fifth member. Um, but it's just like, how does Bayley play a part? Like, is Bianca, because now Bianca's on social media, like, should I trust Bayley? Like, and
Right.
Rhea was
Yeah, I
like, "Yo,
saw
people
that.
change. You trust me. People change. Like, we got something else to focus on." Like,
Right.
and Bayley was like, "Yo, B, if this is not showing you that I got your back, I don't know what is." Because Bayley helped Bianca win against
Exactly.
Naomi.
Exactly. So it's all again. And I love the fact that everybody on the roster has something going on. That is
Mm-hmm.
the beautiful part about this new WWE, where you got Nick Khan that say, "Let me get to the money. Let me get to the money," and Hunter, you just do the wrestling. And all Hunter has to do now is worry about booking these shows and these PLEs, and that's in putting the focus on all the people that are on the roster. Everybody has something to do. Incredible, incredible, incredible. The next match is the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther taking on Damian Priest. I gotta be honest with you. I think Damian Priest is going to win this title back.
I think so too, but I also feel like this match can go either way,
Hmm.
and I wouldn't be upset because we know that they are so hard hitting. We know that they're so captivating. We know that this is a feud that will definitely go down in record books. I feel like this could go up there with like Dusty, Ric Flair,
Hmm.
um, just Austin Rock, Austin Triple H, Triple H Rock. Um, so either way, however the coin turns or flips, I wouldn't be mad at the outcome. Although, of course, I'm going to always root for Damian Priest, but my Boricua brother, and he from New York, the Bronx. So yeah, I'm going to always root for him, although I'm from Brooklyn. Let's not get that messed up. I'm always going to root for him to win. But yeah, this can go either way. I already know they're
Yeah.
about to put a hell of a match.
Agreed. Agreed. First of all, I thought they had the best wrestling match at the I believe it was a SummerSlam. Yeah,
Yeah,
that match at SummerSlam I thought was the best wrestling match on the card. I thought it was, and I'm glad that Gunther. Think about Gunther's journey. When he was over, wrestling in the UK and how he slimmed down and like the
he
fact that
went from
he
Walter to Gunther real quick.
and Vince saw something in him, and here he is now, the world heavyweight champion. But I truly believe, for some reason, because right now he's on that decline. Right now, you know what I mean? Because he's being vulnerable. He doesn't have that twinkle in his eye. He's feeling doubt, and that's what I think Damien's going to get him. But we'll
Yeah,
see. Again, just know that the match is going to be top quality, and you're saying it can go either way. I'm pulling for Damien, Monster Factory guy. But again, I wouldn't be upset if Gunther wins. And of
right.
course, the main event. We have the OG Bloodline. Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk. Taking on this new bloodline with Solo, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and Bronson Reed. By the way, I saw a meme last week and it had a picture with this new bloodline with Bronson Reed. And they said Bronson Reed is that cousin that just comes by in the summer. I just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm going down south for the summer, y'all. When school get
Right.
out, that's him.
But I'll be honest with you. There's a picture I saw with him and Jacob. I said I could dig that. I could dig that tag team.
Oh. Tag team and opponent. I was seeing something that was like uh dream matches for WrestleMania 2021. WrestleMania 41. And it had Jacob Fatu going against Solo Sikoa.
Mm,
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
I could see
Now,
that.
if that starts from Survivor Series, taking it all the way to Mania, Lord, Vegas ain't big enough.
It's going to be crazy,
Gonna be
and
crazy time.
this is why I feel as though that this pay-per-view, and again, to me, I feel as though that the Bloodline 2.0 was going to win. I'm picking them to win this because
Mm.
you know what I mean. Because does it really like to me? Seth is going to cost the OG Bloodline the match.
I don't think but it's no DQ, so I don't know how he can.
Well, as I'm saying, he's going to cost them the match, meaning that he is going to attack somebody on the OG bloodline. Is what I'm saying. He's going to do something to cost them the match. I believe.
I don't think so. I don't know. I also feel like they're not going. I feel like I'm always going to go for the original bloodline. And here's why.
Hmm.
Ever since Roman's come back at SummerSlam to help Cody, it's been real few far in between that um that they won. They haven't
Right.
won or they have been getting a lick back. Like they haven't gotten their lick back yet. So I
Hmm.
feel like Survivor Series will be the time for them to get their lick back. I also feel like because they're gonna be upset, they're gonna attack. And then I feel like Seth Rollins is gonna come out and probably just attack everybody.
Could be.
Roman, Punk, Bronson, especially, I just feel like that. But this is the time, like, now you have this fifth person. Like, they're not gonna have CM Punk come be the fifth man and have him lose. So
Yeah.
that's definitely my my take. I'm always I'm never going against the original bloodline. Never going against Roman Reigns.
Well, like I said, there's a lot to unpack, on Saturday night. I'm sorry, Saturday. Well, I guess, since the sun sets at like 4:30 now, but this pay-per-view comes on at 6 p.m., which is
PM, yep.
cool. We get a nice early out, so to speak, where we can enjoy the rest of our Saturday night, enjoy the rest of the trimmings of leftovers from Thanksgiving dinner and all that, So before we get out of here, and again, I thank you once again for coming on. Where can they find you on social media, and where they can listen to those Wrestling Girls podcasts?
So you can find me, Miss Krista B, MS_KRISTAB_ on Instagram and MS_KRISTAB on Twitter. You can follow those Wrestling Girls everywhere on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Threads. I think we on Blue Sky as well. It's just so many to keep up with. We're everywhere. Make sure you please subscribe to our Patreon and our YouTube channels. We have new episodes coming out. We have new things in store for the year 2025. And make sure you tune in. We have our Thirsty Thursdays. P has her shows. I have my separate shows, and then we come together to do our episodes. So just make sure that you tune in to everywhere we are, which is literally everywhere.
Well, again, Krista, like I said, you're a guest co-host tonight, but like I said, you're more than welcome, to come on, and talk
Thank
pro
you.
wrestling with me, regardless of the fact, I love the fact that there's so many of us in this space, and we're making a name for ourselves. I got a chance to cover WrestleMania last year in LA, what I mean, which was
Same.
crazy. You know what I mean? That was an
Amazing.
opportunity that I will be forever, ever grateful for doing that. You know what I mean? I've been friends with Brian Waters I've known Brian maybe since his 2011 when he was launching the wrestling
Shout out
realm.
to
So he and
Brian.
yeah, shout out to Brian, man. He's doing
My
amazing
brother
work.
right there.
Absolutely. He's a really, really good friend. True story. He needed to write a paper about the history of pro wrestling. I helped him write the paper on the history of the
Mm,
WWE. He got an A on it. And he actually sent me, I think about a year ago, he sent me the actual paper that he wrote us. I'm like, I'm
wow.
glad I was able to contribute to that. But I know you got to go. But Krista, I want to thank you so, so much for joining me, tonight. And like I said, best wishes to all you do in this space in
Thank
podcasting,
you.
along with the queen herself, PR.
Thank you. Thank you. And best wishes to you as well. Thank you so much for having me. I will gladly be back anytime you need me.
You got it.